Okay, so let's go ahead and build the RGB LED circuit. And so for this, we're going to be using this common cathode LED. And so this is a device that has 3 LEDs built into one package. And as I've shown the inside in this dotted box here, it has 3 separate LEDs, red, green, and blue, and each has their own anode. That's the positive terminal. So for the anode for the blue, the green, and the red, and then they have a common cathode. And if you've read the accompanying notes for this lab, you know that we're going to be using a 200 ohm current limiting resistor for each of these. And that may make some of these brighter than others. It may make the red brighter than the others, but that's okay. We're just trying to get a decent glow out of these. Okay, and so we'll be hooking up everything across a 6-volt battery. Now, let me just say a little bit about how I've laid this out. The RGB LED is shown here, and I got this schematic from the data sheet for the device. You'll notice that it has 4 leads, and I'll turn it over to align with what I'm drawing here. So it has the longest lead, lead 1, and that's the common anode. Then to the right of that, lead 2 would be the red, the longest one is the common cathode, and then pin 2 would be our red anode, and then 3 and 4 are the anodes for the green and blue respectively. So when I take this LED and pop that into 4 consecutive columns on a breadboard, you'll notice that the anodes are going to be going from 2, 3, 4. That's red, green, and blue, and that's why I've laid them out here, red, green, and blue. Okay, so the parts that we're going to need, we'll of course need our breadboard here, and we've already got the LED. I'm going to need my battery pack, as always, and then we're going to need 6 resistors. We don't have 200 ohm resistors in our kits, but we have 100 ohms, so I have 6 100 ohm resistors, and what we're going to do is use 2 in series to get 200 ohms. Now, when I lay this out on the board, what I've decided that I'm going to do is put the LED on this side of the channel, and then I'll jump across using all the resistors, because it's going to get a little crowded when we put 6 resistors on the board. Now, it's possible I could plug the LED in here, and then just have one jumper going to the ground rail, and then I could go from my resistors all the way up to the top rail. But rather than try to do that, what I'm going to do is have the LED here, the resistors going from the LED, jumping the channel to this top half. And then I'm going to use some jumper wires to go up to the top rail. So let's go ahead and begin. First thing we need to do is plug the LED in, and I'm going to go with the same kind of pinout that I have here. And we have to sort of fuss a little bit to get those wires in. Maybe we may even have to bend them. Now there they go. Actually, I'm going to move it down a little bit so that I can get the resistors in there. Okay, so I have that LED in there. Now I just have to have 200 ohms for each one. So for number 2 here, I'm going to put in a resistor, and then I need another resistor. Okay, maybe I'll go directly. I was planning to use a jumper wire, but as I start to build it, I see that it looks like it lays out best if I just go from the anode to a resistor to another resistor up to the 6-volt rail. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to put my other resistors in these 2 anodes, and remember that this one here is going to be our cathode. So this does get a little crowded. Now the way I'm building this, when we turn it on, they're all going to fire at the same time. That is, they're all going to turn on. They're all going to glow, the red, the green, and the blue. And in that case, the thing should glow white, or approximately white. If they were all glowing with equal intensity, we would have white. And then if we had, some of the LEDs, one or two glowing more than a third, then that might cause it to glow, white with more of one color than the other in it. But we'll first turn it on. We'll see it glowing with one color, and then I'll sort of successfully take off some of these so that we only have one LED glowing at a time, and see what we can do about colors. Okay, I'm going to go into my wire bin and grab a jumper wire and connect that down to the ground rail. Okay, now I'm going to connect my battery pack. Okay, and so there it is. It's glowing nice and bright. Now, it's quite difficult to actually see color on the camera. It tends to saturate the light, but this is glowing it's glowing very bright, and it has a fair amount of blue in it. One of the things I like to do is cover up these with some kind of a light diffuser. This is just a plastic canister. The idea of a light diffuser, if you think about a light bulb, then there's either a filament inside. This happens to be an LED light bulb, but there's some material inside the dome that's sprayed around or coating the inside of the dome. It's a frosting material that diffuses the light. So rather than just have the light rays sort of come at you really stark, they get diffused by that material in there. And so you can just use a piece of plastic here as a light diffuser. Put it like that. And there are other things that you can use as a diffuser, and I'll show you. Okay, it's glowing white with what appears to be some blue in it. So what I'm going to do is take off these a couple at a time. Now that's just glowing blue, and it's showing green on the video, but I can assure you that that's blue in front of me, and so that's the blue one. Okay, let's turn on the green one. All right, that's green, and you can tell we're green in the video this time. And then if I take that one out, there's red. Okay, and if we combine red and green, we get yellow. Now, your ability to actually make a particular color is going to require that you have the right intensities of the different constituent parts. We're not going to try to do that now. Later on, we'll show you how you can change the intensity using a microcontroller, using the Arduino controller. And instead of hardwiring a circuit with resistors, we'll be able to change the amount of glow we get out of LEDs using an analog control signal coming from a computer, and that'll allow us to change the intensity. And that'll allow us to balance the colors so that we can sort of create the colors of the rainbow, if you will, or different things we might want to do. This one is glowing purple, purplish, whether that's indigo, violet, purple, or and all I've done here is turned on the red and the green, the red and the blue LEDs together. Okay, I want to show you different ways of making a light diffuser here. If I take that off, you could just use a piece of paper. And if you roll up a piece of paper, you've created a light candle. And so that'll serve as a light diffuser. And I'll show you what that looks like if I put the light off in the room. Let's see, I need a... Okay, so I get my piece of paper, and I'll just roll it up into a tube. And then I'm going to get a couple of paper clips to hold the tube together in place. Now, this isn't what I'm doing here with the paper and the light diffuser isn't electronics per se, but it's really part of, if you think about this light as a system, you wanted it to have a certain aesthetic to it, and you'd need to think about how you would diffuse the light. So if I put that candle over it, now of course right now we're looking right on it. I'm going to turn it to the side, and you'll see that I've got color sort of leaking out from the side. I'm going to put off the overhead lights in the room. And clearly you can see that this light candle is glowing, and it's dominating the light in the room because I've got the overhead lights off. And I can go and change the colors on here. Red, and I've pulled out a resistor, trying to put it back in where I can't see the blackboard. The breadboard is not too easy. Okay. Okay, so you get the idea. You can come up with different colors just by mixing the RGB light patterns. Okay, so that is our RGB LED lab.